Lesson 6: How to Stop Taking Things Personally. Most pain comes from taking things personally, not because people are cruel, but because our hearts are sensitive and our egos are easily triggered. We interpret words as judgments, silence as rejection, tone as disrespect. But not everything is about us. Epictetus said that it's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. The desert monks taught that a peaceful heart is not wounded by words, and Scripture says, "A wise person overlooks an offense." These voices all point to the same truth. Inner freedom begins when we stop letting every moment define us. We take things personally because we're attached to approval, to image, to being right, to being understood. Kierkegaard wrote that the self becomes anxious when it depends on the opinions of others. Seneca said that the person who seeks constant validation becomes a slave to every passing comment. And Jesus asked, "Why do you worry about what others think?" Not as a criticism, but as an invitation to step out of the prison of interpretation. You can see this everywhere in modern life. Someone doesn't text back, and your mind immediately creates a story. They're upset. I did something wrong. But maybe they're just busy. Someone speaks sharply in a meeting, and you feel attacked. But maybe they're stressed, tired, overwhelmed. Someone posts something online, and you think it's about you, but maybe it has nothing to do with you at all. Most of what we take personally is simply the echo of someone else's inner world. The monks used to say, "Do not drink from every cup that is handed to you," meaning not every emotion, not every tone, not every reaction is yours to swallow. Scripture echoes this with the words, "Do not be easily offended," not because offense is sinful, but because offense is heavy. And the heart was not made to carry every weight. The first movement toward freedom is asking, what part of me is reacting? Usually it's not the soul, it's the ego. The ego wants to be admired, respected, understood, validated. The ego wants control. The ego wants certainty. But the soul wants peace. And the moment you ask that question, you create space between the trigger and the reaction. Marcus Aurelius said that the mind becomes powerful when it pauses before interpreting. That pause is the beginning of wisdom. Imagine a simple moment. Someone gives you a strange look. The ego says, "They're judging me." But the soul says, "I don't know what's happening inside them." Or someone forgets to include you in a conversation. The ego says, "I'm being excluded." The soul says, "Maybe they were distracted." Or someone corrects you. The ego says, "They're attacking me." The soul says, "This is information, not identity." That shift from ego to soul is the shift from pain to freedom. Reframing the moment is the next step. The monks would say, interpret with mercy, not because others always deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Scripture says, love believes all things, hopes all things, meaning choose the interpretation that keeps your heart open. Seneca wrote that the wise person assumes the best until the truth requires otherwise. And Montaigne said that most offenses exist only in our imagination. Reframing is not denial. It is choosing clarity over emotional reflex. You can practice this in everyday life. You're walking into a store, and the cashier barely looks at you. Instead of thinking, they're rude, you think, maybe they're tired. You send a message and get a short reply. Instead of thinking, they're annoyed, you think, maybe they're busy. Someone raises their voice. Instead of thinking, they're attacking me, you think, they're overwhelmed. This doesn't excuse behavior. It simply frees you from unnecessary suffering. And then comes the deepest movement, choosing inner stability. You don't need to match the energy around you. You don't need to absorb the emotions of others. You don't need to react to every tone, every expression, every mood. The monks said, "Remain as a rock in the river." Scripture says, "Let the peace of God guard your heart." Guard, meaning protect. Hold steady. Stay rooted. When you choose inner stability, you stop giving others power over your peace. Think of a moment when someone snaps at you. The old pattern is to snap back, defend, explain, justify. But inner stability says, "I don't need to join this storm," or someone misunderstands you. The old pattern is to over-explain. Inner stability says, "I know my intention," or someone disapproves of you. The old pattern is to chase approval. Inner stability says, "My worth is not up for negotiation. This is not coldness. This is maturity." When you stop taking things personally, you stop bleeding from every small cut. You stop living in reaction. You stop letting the moods of others dictate your inner weather. You stop giving strangers authority over your peace. And something beautiful happens. You become free. Free to listen without defensiveness. Free to speak without fear. Free to walk through the world without carrying every shadow. Scripture says, "Great peace have those who are not easily offended." The monks said, "A peaceful heart cannot be wounded by words." Epictetus said, "If it is not about your character, it is not about you." These voices are not telling you to be indifferent. They are telling you to be free. And each day you can return to 3 simple movements. What part of me is reacting? Awareness. This is information, not identity. Reframing. I choose inner stability. Freedom. When you stop taking things personally, you stop giving others power over your peace. And this, quietly, gently, is where spiritual life begins. Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me. If this lesson brought you peace, consider sharing it with someone who may need it. Until next time, stay gentle with your soul.